Folks, welcome in. It is Wednesday, and it is time for another edition of the Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. He's Donnie Wrightstead. We are powered by Pickswise and presented by FanDuel.com. Just a couple days remaining until we get to the start of the NCAA tournament. Very exciting time, a lot to get to. We're going to give you our Final Four today. We're going to talk about what's going on inside the NCAA tournament bubble. There's some weird things going on that we'll get to. We'll hear about Donnie's and my opinion as well. And we'll take a look at some games tonight, which we have going on, the NIT. We'll take a look at that bracket, see who might come out on top there. Donnie, how you doing?
You know, it's funny you bring this up as we're talking about the tournament this week, and we talked about like, hey, that Monday thing is a really good, wraparound weekend, which I do agree. But it's moving like molasses, Jeff, because it's another day off. Like today we would have the first four, and then tomorrow we would have the start of the actual tournament, but it's pushed back a day. It feels like Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, even though we're talking good basketball stuff, it feels like it's never going to get here. But once it does, we're going to have a lot of fun, specifically on this show. But I can't wait for the tournament. I need it to be here now, and it's not, Jeff.
Yeah, we're so used to it being on Thursday.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Once it's like when it's Sunday and this is going on, which is kind of, and then you still have another day on Monday. So it's, on the back end, it'll take care of you a little bit. But I hear you. It's not the same. I hope this isn't a norm. Let's just take it back to Thursday next year.
Now, what is the actual reason? Because I know we say it's COVID, right? What's the reason? What's the reason? Is there any?
I don't know, to be honest. There
can't be an actual reason why it's better to push it back one day, no?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help. Like, Friday is a day for most people where if they're working, they're not really working. So I get, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's fine. And Thursday, I can understand too. But Monday, I don't understand the thought process on putting the tournament on Monday. I don't really get that.
Yeah, because like the Thursday, Friday, in March Madness, it's like a national holiday those 2 days. Like you look forward to it, you get there, people are taking the day off, work productivity goes down. But I do like the fact, like, again, I always like to say, Jeff, me and you don't really work for a living. Like, we enjoy what we do for a living. Monday is great for us because content on a Monday, we don't have to wait anymore. But if you have to get back to work, you're still trying to ride that high. Like, wait, there's games on Monday during the day. I got to watch. I got to be productive. It's odd that it sets it back. It's almost like daylight savings. Like, we don't really need this, but we're getting it anyway.
According to the NCAA, it's for logistical purposes. I don't know what that means. My guess is I don't really have a guess, to be honest. I don't
like.
Really
like people ask me, I'm like, yeah, and I'm trying to because usually we can talk around anything. Like, well, here's why it makes sense. Pushing it back one day doesn't make any sense, and I haven't heard an explanation that says here's exactly why we did it, except for what you said, logistical purposes. As in what? They're in the same state. Like it was harder to put this thing together. We needed one extra day 3 months ago. I
think it's just one of those things where it's like if you ask why, it's just like. Well, there is a global pandemic going on, and then that's that.
Yes, exactly.
They don't really have to have a reason. They just do it.
Yeah.
So, logistics are the cause, Donnie, whatever that means. And like you said, they're all in the same place and stuff like that. So whatever.
No, it's just kind of oddness there. But a lot of things also, Jeff, going on in March Madness right now as we are on the cusp of it beginning. Talking about the same nonsensical stuff, and I know you tweeted something out yesterday, which we're going to get to here, where I hope it was facetious. I hope it was a joke, but sometimes online, I have a very good sarcasm reader. But when you see the blue check marks retweeted, they don't really understand what sarcasm actually is. So I'm going to assume it was sarcasm, and we're talking about, boy, what a shame for these kids to live out their dreams and play in March Madness. But the food is a little bit off, and I hope these kids don't lose on purpose just so they can go home and eat, I don't know, Pizza Hut at home. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so John Rothstein tweeted this out. Are people really complaining about things in the bubble? Would you prefer to go back to the situation we endured last year?
Correct.
We're having a tournament, and that's all that matters. Be careful what you do and have in life, not what you don't. And then there was obviously some stuff about whether they would lose on purpose just so they could go home, that kind of stuff. I don't know who wrote that. I forget, to be honest. But, Johnny, so Geo Baker, he plays at Rutgers. I don't know. You know Geo Baker?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yep.
He comments on the Rothstein thing and goes, think you can definitely be grateful to play the game while also understanding there's more than should be on the table. Players are isolated entire year to help make this tournament happen. NCAA rewarded with 900 million. Players rewarded with free deodorant and small box meals. And then someone said to him, "Why don't you have guys send you food?" And he goes, "Nah, man, that's what the NCAA would call a violation. You're giving me free food because of my name is against NCAA rules. My name, image, and likeness belongs to them. But any Rutgers kids on full academic scholarships with names not owned by NCAA can surely get some, though." Which I will say, that last line is a decent point. He's got a point there. If Rutgers University gives you a full scholarship academically, and you go there and they're paying for your education, you aren't going to get jammed up if, let's say you run into somebody and, let's say a mentor or something, and he pays for you to have dinner for the next week. I don't know. He does have a point there. Now, as far as him not, him kind of complaining about the likeness thing, here's the thing at the end of the day. Geo Baker does not have to play basketball. Like, he doesn't have to do that. He could quit and do something else and make money, which is, remember that kicker guy that did that years ago? The UCF guy? Yeah.
Yep.
You could always, if you're popular enough, then quit. At the end of the day, though, I do think the NCAA should have, you had all this time to prepare. The NBA did this at the beginning, Donnie, when they got slammed for the meals that they had. Mm-hmm. I think generally once you slam them once, they'll start working with these different couriers and start getting better food in there. But I don't know.
Yeah, so when I look at the comment, and I always like to piggyback off what you said. So, Geo Baker, let's go back to when you were 12, right? And somebody laid out your plans, maybe a guidance counselor in middle school said, look, if you work really hard and get an academic scholarship, you can make as much money as you want in college. But Gio, you're a really good basketball player. You don't have to play basketball. Concentrate on your academics. Go to Rutgers for 4 years, get your academic scholarship, and do whatever you want. You know what the best thing about it is also, Jeff? He can still be really good at basketball. You don't have to play basketball at Rutgers. Work out at LA Fitness, go to 24/7 Fitness or whatever, work on your game, and in 4 years, turn pro. Can't we have it? That's not fair. That's not the rules that they put.
Yeah, now
there's ways around it. You don't have to go. You don't have to play. You can go your own way. You can, Jeff, fly over to France. You can fly over to whatever the Ball brothers did. Go that route, and you'll never have complaints. You can
I agree, and that's where we have a disconnect, Geo Baker and I. Where listen, there are other opportunities at this point.
Tons.
And I've also been in the camp of the one and done rule needs to go away. You should not make kids go to college if they don't want. If they want to go to the league when they're not good enough and fall flat on that's on them. They made that decision. If they're Lenny Cook or Eddie Curry, that's them. It might be Kobe. They got to do what they got to do for them. And if Geo Baker wants to go, and I hear you. I do think the last line though makes complete sense. It's okay for a kid on full scholarship to do what he wants, but when the NCAA is involved, you can't do anything. Which, like the whole food thing, that needs to. There needs to be better food.
Fine. Let's somebody took a bad picture of a meal or whatever, but I'm sure there's probably, if one kid tweets it out when there's thousands of kids that are eating these meals, probably really enjoying, like, man, this is 5-star service. I love this stuff. Of course, somebody's not going to like it. We joked about Fire Fest yesterday on that, but there's so many bigger things in the NCAA tournament that I think some of these kids are so elevated throughout their entire early childhood that when they don't like something along the way, one piece, it's like, hey, look at this. I only got 6 shrimp instead of 7 shrimp. This is terrible.
I've never been to college. I didn't go to it at all. So I don't know personally. But isn't the food generally really poor in these dining halls? It's not good, right?
No, and that's the misconception. I went to school in the 1990s and I had a meal plan on campus. You got omelets made, you had bagels, you had, somebody making you cheesesteaks in there, donuts, unlimited, as much as you can eat. It was very good. You got 3 meals a day, so you couldn't just go there 16 times. But that's a lot different than what these guys have Division I training tables where they are getting the best of the best. I tell you all the time, I had to pay my way through college. My parents would come up for a football game and hand me $20. That $20 would last 3 weeks. I lived like a king on campus. So I see the opposite side of it when these guys are saying, and I used it yesterday, going on an 8-hour bus trip down to Southern Virginia and them handing me a pizza on the ride home. It was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever lived through in my life. So when these kids say, I'm a Division I athlete, I fly on charters everywhere and stay in 5-star hotels, I got no love for it. You have no bills. You're going to get out of school. You're going to turn pro and have a great thing. But again, because you didn't get 8 shrimp instead of the 9 shrimp, boo, woe is me. Come on now, get out of here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes when you take pictures of food in a container, it doesn't look as good as on a plate.
Correct.
So look, I'm sure the NCAA will get this fixed up. There's, they'll do a little bit better, maybe work with one of these carriers or something. But yeah, I'm sure they're going to try to scrimp and save to make as much money as they can if they're not having it the year before. But so yeah, Donnie is a strong proponent in not giving kids what they want.
Yep. Now I would be furious, Jeff, if it was the other way around. Like, damn, man, what a shame for Gio. Like, on his graduation day, they picked out of a hat, you have to go to Rutgers. If you don't, you're going to jail for 10 years. And I'd be like, that ain't right, man. Gio deserves his own life. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff. Gio chose Rutgers. Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
He did.
Okay, there you go.
He did, yes. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Make sure, as always, if you're new around here, you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching after the fact, make sure you hit your thumbs up. If you're watching this currently, hit the thumbs up as well. Make sure you comment, say hello. We do have a live chat box, so if you're new to YouTube, you haven't used it, there's a live chat box. Come in, say hello. Got a lot of guys in here always. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. The sub count continues to go up.
Yes.
We're happy about it. We are presented by Pickswise, powered by FanDuel. Donnie, a couple of other things. So Virginia had a press conference recently. So there's been talk that they are all in quarantine. So they have not practiced really at all.
And I'm glad you brought this up. Keep going. Go.
They've done, according to Bennett, they've done some Zoom things, but there's been no practicing. He has not let on of who the player is. I'm starting to get the feeling, Donnie, it's an important player. Just my opinion. I don't know. But from what he said, they're off quarantine, I think, a Thursday as far as everybody testing. Mm-hmm. They'll then fly to Indianapolis Friday and then play on Saturday. You got to feel bad for them. It's not exactly an ideal situation here. It's Virginia. They're always very, kind of with it and they defend and all that kind of stuff. But this is not an ideal situation for a group of young 18, 19, 20-year-olds. You have to kind of be always engaged. Donnie, I know for me, and I'm not an athlete at that level, but I know if I do not work out for a day or two,
yes,
it's not going to be great for me. I like to do it every day.
Rhythm. Yeah, you get in that rhythm. You're putting up 1,000 jumpers on a Monday, 1,000 on Tuesday. You're running up and down the court. Now all of a sudden you're flying. And it's not like they're just going to go ahead and play, on campus in the arena against some low-level MEAC team or Division II team just to get a tune-up. You're heading right into the tournament on a neutral court site to play a pretty good basketball team. And you're right.
Yeah, it isn't. Hey, some of you guys can go shoot around. No one can do anything.
No, none.
Not ideal.
No, because it's not like quarantine. It's like, they can just be with their teammates and they can practice. No. Quarantine means you guys can't be anywhere near each other or around anybody else for 10 days, and then you just come out of your room and be like, yeah, let's go ball. Oh, boy.
The fascinating thing about this coronavirus, right? So one player has coronavirus, right? So everyone has to quarantine, right?
Yes.
The wild thing is, not this whole group doesn't have corona and they're all done once this is over. There's a conceivable way, Donnie, that they could play on Friday or Saturday, somehow win, and then on Tuesday or something, another player gets coronavirus and they got to go through the game. It's truly wild. We made the comment, Donnie, back a long time ago when this first started. Do you just literally give them the virus and let them all get it at once and just move on? By the way, also, we're at the point now where most states even you, look, you've gotten the vaccine, right?
Yeah, we got one of them, one of two, yes.
Most states now, I'm seeing that they're starting to allow anyone to get it. And I feel like if you go to the thing and just say, hey, I have asthma, they'll just give you it. I don't think they're going to say, no, you're not getting it, leave. I don't think it's going to happen. Why can't we get these, when they go to the tournament, why can't they get vaccinated? Can we just do that? Why? What are we doing here?
It should have been better planned out. And I know a lot of people say, well, you can't give it to athletes or this
Why?
or that.
Why can't you?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to now is the economic machine of the NCAA.
Why can't you just give it to anybody?
The ripple effect that goes down, because I understand they want to make sure they get it in the right arms. Like people that are treating people with COVID, they should have it first. I get all that. I do. But there has to be some exceptions, because we're not talking about anymore, Jeff, where the COVID vaccine isn't here. It's just a matter of how you distribute it. There are hundreds of millions of doses currently right now where you're saying that UPS in the United States and NCAA didn't come to agreement 3 weeks ago and say, we got to make sure we get this to Virginia's campus, this campus, this campus, that campus. They get vaccinated 3 weeks later, they get the second shot, or even get them the Johnson & Johnson shot, which is a one shot here. Because after a couple weeks, once you're vaccinated, you are basically immune to supposedly getting sick again and having to go to the hospital. I understand it, but that big economic machine like the NCAA is, they could have made odds and ends on that. And you see the NBA, well, we're not going to jump to the front of the line. Okay, well, then this is what you deal with. But the original point getting in, which we always like to slam the Big Ten, was they made it sound like when they canceled their season, I'm not putting a football player out there. If I do, they will die. Come on now. So,
look, the truth of the matter is there's 68 teams, which we know. Let's say per group, per team, Donnie, there's 30 people involved, right? If you vaccinate every person, that's about 2,040 shots. Let's just say you allot 2,500 shots to anyone involved in the NCAA tournament. Why can't we just give them a shot? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
well, we see that in every city too, Jeff. Like, look at Philadelphia, Leocore Center. Every once in a while, they'll open up. Hey, anybody who wants to come today, you can come today. We just pounded out 5,000 shots.
Listen, do you have I have a weird feeling this is being done at the vaccine. Like, they're not telling people. Like, they should be doing this at the fucking or at the freaking. I cannot swear sometimes, Donnie. I'm so passionate about this. At the freaking bubble, they should be giving people a shot. Why aren't we doing that?
Well, I mean, it still would be 3 weeks down the line, because I think the Moderna shot is 4 weeks after your first vaccination. The Pfizer is 3 weeks.
But at least give them one.
But it should have been done previously, in the previous month. I do agree with you there, but it is what it is at the end of the day. And it was a lot of hoopla, and Virginia's in some trouble. And we asked this question. There's going to be a team here, Jeff, that's going to get. If I put an odds factor on it for you again. Like, we know Virginia's struggling with it a little bit now. When the tournament starts, which, again, Friday, Saturday, technically the first rounds, give me the odds that a team has a player test positive post-Friday. What's the odds? A team. Not like the whole team. Like, Oklahoma's got an issue here. Like, an issue where John Rothstein or some of the beat writers go, we're hearing right now, part of the traveling party for Southern California, USC, somebody's got it.
I would say it's a favorite.
I got a 50-50. 50-50.
I'd be willing, if they put a line on that and said you have a $100 bet for free, I'd be willing to bet 130 that would happen.
I do, because it's a lot of kids. We see it pop up here and there. Even though they're going to a semi-bubble, we know that, let's just say if you don't have the vaccination, you might have it today, no symptoms, not feeling it, doesn't show up for another 7 days. I can't. I don't want it to happen. Like Baylor gets it, or like, let's just say you have money riding on it. Like Gonzaga gets it in the round of 32, and they got to drop out. Like, are you kidding me?
Again, I'm still not understanding. If we're on a team together, Donnie, Virginia, let's say, and one player gets it, but for 3 or 4 days straight, nobody is positive.
Yeah.
Why do they have to quarantine? I don't under. I'm not get. I don't. I
because there's still CDC. I think it's still like CDC stuff where it's like it can still live in your body and not be.
Wear 3 masks too, but nobody does that. Like, You're right though. What happens if Gonzaga goes to the Final Four? Seriously, what do we? Like,
are they postponing the Final Four? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are we just saying, free run like the ACC tournament? So somebody's just like Michigan just gets a free ride in. Yeah.
Every other team say, well, why didn't you postpone it for us when we had it? Like, you can't win. No one else is going to get it though. I have a weird, I'm starting to think now that the 130, it's like, maybe I'll take the dog, because I think teams are just going to say, we're just going to pretend it's not happening or something. I don't know. Or
Yeah,
maybe
or you bring in the dummy test, Jeff, where the test, like, no matter what happens, it's negative. So, like, come on, let's just get through this week.
if I were the NCAA, I would be vaccinating all these players and not tell anyone. Why do you need to tell anyone? It's HIPAA stuff. You don't have to tell anyone anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just had a doctor's appointment. You're now like, yeah, you know what? That's a very good point you bring up because, look, I don't need to know your personal dealings of a player, but if we're gambling and it's out there, the fact where they say, like, well, you know, somebody's sick, but HIPAA, like, if I'm the player, I'm like, dude, it's me. I'm sick. All right. I feel good. I'll be back in 7 days. I know they do. Yeah.
I remember there was a kid, weirdly enough, at Dixie State, the new school this year.
Yeah.
This kid, every time he was out, he would tell you if he's playing. He's like, I'm in, I'm not in. Like, it was cool. Like, he was a good dude. I'm glad he was.
Yeah, he wouldn't fit in the MAC, Jeff. Then
no, he would be banned. He'd be out. Jim Connor says big man is a conspiracy theorist.
I love conspiracies. We're devil's advocate guys. We play the opposite side. We try to open. If the door is cracked, me and Jeff kick that door open.
I'm not doubting there's a pen. I'm just saying, like, why do we know the rules? Like, why do we not know if you get this vaccine, if you're prevented from spreading it? Like, why does no one know that? Yeah. Why does no one know when you re-get the vaccine? Like, if you get coronavirus twice, why does no one know that?
I don't know.
It's like, I should
have got paid. You should have, as soon as the pandemic hit, Jeff, you should have signed up to be like a CDC spokesperson. Yeah. And no matter what you said, it didn't matter. Yeah. Hey, Jeff, what do you think today? 3 masks. A week later, what do you think today, Jeff? I'm going 2 masks today.
Nothing matters, Donnie, at the end of the day. It's like meteorology. If it's going to, you can just say it's going to snow. And if it doesn't, say, well, it's the weather, you know.
Hey, Jeff, you picked Gonzaga. They actually lost round 1 in a 116 upset. Yeah, so what? I'm riding Virginia here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, remember? Yeah. And most people do that anyway. So, all right, let's get into some other things.
Yes.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Mike David says, I'm still waiting on side effects from the vaccine. If players take it and get side effects, they won't be able to play. Come stop, Mike. Seriously, Mike.
No,
stop.
The second one they might be because I've had a couple people already with the second vaccination, some unaffected, some can't get out of bed for 2 days. So he does make a point on that one where it's if you get that second dose and, you know, Kispert's out before because he can't get out of bed.
I'm not saying give it now. You should have did it like a month.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Me too. That's what I'm saying. Whatever. It should have been done last month, and then you wouldn't have any issues. I agree. By the way, Jeff, when we start talking about Final Four wagers and who you're betting on in this tournament, there is a Pickswise capper contest that is going on, and 9 experts giving out their best bets each and every day of the tournament, which, again, officially, I guess, do we say officially Friday, Jeff, is when the tournament starts? Like, do we count the first 4? Is that just like the appetizer? I like to say officially round 1 is Friday.
Yeah, I count the official start as on Friday. The first 4 is like playing.
It's like it's not really a tournament.
They're in, but they're not really in.
Exactly. $10,000 prize, Jeff, for most profit at the end of this tournament. This tournament has John Rothstein, Rashard Phillips, Megan making money from the FanDuel Sportsbook, and the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. Future picks from all contestants will be out shortly, so keep an eye. You know where you find that, Jeff? On the Pickswise website. The big man on campus, the favorite heading in. Couple more days. The picks will be out. They will be tracked, and somebody's going to get a big prize here, Jeff.
You said that, not me. You said I'm the favorite. I didn't.
I did.
But I do. But
I did.
I do think I'm the favorite. I actually already submitted my picks for this. I had to have them. Well, not for the whole tournament, but we had to have
which days though? Because we're not going to reveal those just yet. But which
we had
days
to have who we think's going to actually win the tournament. I have a first 4 pick.
Okay.
And I have a couple picks for the first day.
Okay.
First 2 days of the tournament. I got 2 on Saturday, 1 on Friday. So I got a couple.
Yep. No, that definitely works. Let's talk some Final Four shots because, again, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, even tomorrow, Thursday, still have the first 4. Friday is going to be a bonanza once again. Like, I almost miss it, Jeff. Like, last week we were going over like 15, 20 games on the show and couldn't get enough questions handed in. I can't wait till that returns on Friday where, like, the games are ready to go. We're on in the morning. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to turn this computer off, and in 2 hours, we're going to be watching college basketball. We're right around the corner. But looking at the Final Four itself, for me, and again, we are gamblers, both Jeff and I, handicappers. You have to separate your bracket pool from the actual individualized betting and point spreads of the tournament. Because most people will say, like, well, you're looking for this. Well, yes, I like Gonzaga to get to the final. I like Baylor to get to the final. Ha ha! 1 seed. Yes. One seeds are there for a 1 seed for a reason. I still like also Houston, Jeff, as a 2 seed. I like Alabama as a 2 seed, but I might not be betting them each and every game. It might even be fading them in a game if I think they're still going to win and move on and just not cover the spread. Those are my final 4 teams. Heavy chalk, and I always preface this by saying, go ahead, people out there, pick all the upsets you want, because at the end of the day, chalk wins in your office pool.
It definitely does. And again, when you're doing these office pools, when you're doing brackets, it is important. Realize and understand like what actually matters. Like picking, like racking your brain on an 8-9 matchup.
Correct.
Isn't that big? Like they're generally not going to beat the 1 seed. So
exactly,
spending, everyone wants to try to someday get a perfect bracket. The odds of it happening are very low. I would love.
Remember when people lost their mind, Jeff, in 2014? The first that was like, I don't know if it was Rocket Mortgage, whoever the heck was doing it. Warren Buffett was behind it, whatever one of his companies was. Hey, $1 billion if you do the perfect bracket, and just the average Joe was like, I gotta sign. This is amazing. I gotta sign up. This is my chance.
It's always that weird thing that we have as people where. Do you ever notice, Donnie, when like that something like that comes out, like $1 billion, or like there's a huge Powerball?
Yep.
You find yourself believing that you actually have a shot, like like
as Big used to say, like $1 in a dream, because when you buy the ticket, right? Let's just say you go down here, $10, give me $10 worth of Powerball. So you get out and you look at the ticket, you're like, yo, if this wins, all the money I can get. Then the Powerball actually is drawn, and you look at your card and go, how the hell does I don't care if 1 billion people bought this. How does anybody win this? It's impossible.
I don't even have a close even a number.
Yes.
Like, and you'll get it, and you'll see like, let's say the Powerball thing is like 600 million or something.
Yes.
Like I remember the last time, it was a couple of weeks ago or a month ago. I remember I went to my parents for dinner, and I remember saying like, Dad, if I hit this Powerball tonight, I'm buying that house in Longport for $7 million. Like you actually think you have a legit shot to do it, and it's like you work like, hey, I can win $1 billion. All I have to do is pick every game perfectly. It's just
like 1 to 60. Like when you look at the card, it's just like, but then again, nobody wins, let's just say on that Thursday. So the 650 million goes to 950 million. And you're like, you have no shot. And then you buy it again. I don't know, man.
The most delusional people are the ones that have the numbers that they like.
No, the books. You ever see like the books are out? Like, here, look, here's how you pick winners if you want a big jackpot, and go buy his book. I'm like, come on, man.
Donnie, when I was really young. I was like literally the summer out of high school. For a few months, I worked at a convenience store.
Yeah.
Like one of the first jobs I had.
Yep. Sure.
Called Turkey Hill.
Yeah.
And there was a guy that used to come in there, an older head. He believed that he had the scratch-off tickets?
Yes.
A method? Yeah, he had a system for them. Like where he felt like there's little numbers in the bottom right corner of the ticket. He believed that certain number tickets were winners always. Mm. Now, again, he would do this always and never win.
Yeah.
But, these guys believe it. But, yeah, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. You're not going to win. But perfect brackets, it's not a big deal at perfect. It's just realizing what stuff matters. What matters, Donnie, is the teams you have making runs, them not losing the first or second day. Like if you have Texas in a Final Four, they can't lose to Abilene, or they can't, you got to have if your Elite Eight's good to go, you're probably going to have a shot to win your tournament. So, Donnie, let me throw out my Final Four.
Go.
Okay?
Yep.
I haven't told anyone this yet.
Oh, breaking news. Go. Yeah.
Yes. Please credit this show if you quote. Okay. Out of the East region, the West region, Donnie.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm going to go with Gonzaga. Okay. No surprise.
Shocker. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen, I don't mean to be square. I don't mean to say like, hey, I want to pick against them. But the truth of the matter is, I just don't see anyone that presents a real tough matchup to them. They've beaten all these teams as far as the high-end seeds by double digits. I think you're going to have to play a perfect game. So they're out of the West for me. Donnie, out of the East, I went with Texas. I think Texas is really kind of finding it right now. I think they have found it. Winning the conference tournament was impressive. Beating a team like Oklahoma State was impressive. I think they have the length. I think they have the athleticism. Their guard play, I think, is really good. The emergence of Courtney Ramey, the emergence of Kai Jones to go along with Coleman and Jones. You have Greg Brown. You have some depth there. It seems like Shaka is starting to kind of just feel it right now. And this team is really legit to me. I don't think this bracket's particularly tough. I think in a straight-up game, they could beat Alabama. I'll allow Alabama and you kind of cannibalize themselves. We'll get the winner of that. I think they'll beat that winner. And then up top, I don't believe Livers is coming back. I think LSU is obviously very beatable. I think Texas gets into the Final Four in that region. In the Midwest, Donnie, I took Houston. I got the Cougars.
Me too.
I think it's going to be difficult, but I think for them, I think they have a pretty damn good path to the Elite Eight. I think they're going to have to battle. They're going to have to beat San Diego State or West Virginia. But I think for them, defensively, culture-wise, their starting five is as good as you'll find in America. Their guard play is terrific. They just come at you defensively. That Houston-San Diego State game could be a real war, just a real slog fest. I'm not a believer in Illinois. I think Illinois gets beaten, and I do believe Loyola Chicago will beat them. I think Loyola Chicago then advances, beats Oklahoma State. I think Houston will beat Loyola in the Elite Eight. True story. And then the final region, Donnie, the South. I'm going with a little shocker here. I'm going with the Boilermakers. I think they take care of business. I think they kind of have the visions of me of what you want in March. They have a good group of bigs. The guard play is good. It's not great, but it's good. And I think Jaden Ivey could really turn into a real star in this tournament. They have a kid in Eric Hunter that can guard an opposing big. I think Baylor has issues down low, and I think that front court could really bother them. So for me, I'm going Texas, Gonzaga, Purdue, Houston. In the national title game, Donnie, in the Final Four, actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to take Texas to beat Gonzaga. I think this is where Gonzaga lose. I have some feeling. I think the athleticism, I would love it. I think the guard play, it's become too chic to think Gonzaga can win it. And they might just be special. But I truly believe Texas can beat Gonzaga. I have Texas beating Gonzaga. The other side, I have Houston beating Purdue. And it is an all-Texas final. Texas beats Houston and cuts down the nets.
There you go. And if you like that analysis here, give the thumbs up. If you didn't like the analysis right now, give the thumbs down. If you liked everything the big man said or didn't, you still want to subscribe to the channel. You still want to hit the notification button. You still want to ride all the way through the tournament. We're not even into the tournament yet, Jeff. It feels like we've been doing this show 3 weeks already, hyping it up, getting ready to go, and we're almost there. But at least we're able to look at the brackets now, get a feel for what's going to take place. And also keep in mind, Jeff, one of the most important PSAs I can give people out there. It's not bet responsibly. It's make sure you know where True TV is on your dial, Jeff. Always a risk when you start the tournament, man.
That is very true. Donnie, one other thing about brackets. I'll give you a piece of advice, especially this year.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about what you do. It's about what other people do. Everyone in your bracket pool is going to take Gonzaga to win the tournament.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a general belief that someone can beat them, which, Donnie, Pacific took them to the Cleaners in the second half, almost beat them. Brigham Young did it. I mean, there's teams that have tried and almost did it.
Yes.
So it is possible.
That's what I'm going with. I agree with you on that. Go ahead.
If you go against Gonzaga and Gonzaga does lose, you will likely have a shot to win your tournament pool. And, it's a weird year. I think, as long as Gonzaga loses, you're going to have a shot.
Yeah, because it's a tall task. And that's, again, when we talked about the futures that we've taken. My futures bank on Gonzaga getting upset, which would give me a legitimate shot to take down a nice ticket here. If Gonzaga wins it, then I'm probably not going to win any money, obviously, because I don't have any futures that are going to cash in unless I hedged out. Let's just say Baylor got to the final game versus Gonzaga, and I just wanted a little bit of money back on what I spent previously there. But I'm rooting for that scenario. Even though we would like to see Gonzaga win, they deserve it. They're number one. They can finally take that monkey off their back. Oh, little conference can't win anything. You always struggle in the tournament. To finally do away with that. But my pocket would love that moniker to still continue and say, Gonzaga, they can't win anything, because that probably means, Jeff, I want some money here in the tournament.
Yeah, I think, you have to just kind of set where you are. I do think Gonzaga is a special team. I think it's going to take a really tough effort. But Donnie, this group, one problem that they do have, and we can talk about their non-conference schedule all they want, and it was good.
Yeah.
But let's remember, it has been a long time since they've played a legitimate, really good basketball team, right? They haven't lost. They haven't felt that this year. And look, I mean, things are meant to be broken at the end of the day, but let's be frank, Donnie. Mark Few has always come up short. So we'll see if this year's different. We don't know. We'll see. Maybe they just are a truly special team. But
no, it is something to certainly keep an eye on in that respect here. But we do have a couple games here, Jeff, that we're going to talk about tonight that are actually going on the court. Not the NCAA March Madness, but there's still games, Jeff, and there's still lined games that are going to take place tonight. And, of course, tomorrow with the first four, and then we kick off the tournament as well.
Yeah, NIT gets started tonight. Can you get the bracket out in front of you? I'm going to take a look at that.
For the NIT?
Yeah. I just want to kind of just give a thought on. I'm going to give a pick to win the NIT. I kind of have an idea of where I want to go with this. One thing I want to keep people and I want all of you to keep aware of.
Yeah.
Every year this tournament is in Madison Square Garden. It isn't this year. This tournament is completely in Frisco, Texas.
And also keep in mind, Jeff, as well, the NIT's first couple rounds usually are played on campus sites. No longer the case as well.
Correct. Everybody's in Frisco. Everybody's going to be in that beautiful town in Texas. I didn't know. I never knew Frisco, Donnie, was this big. Is it that big?
The Metroplex, man. Yeah, sure.
I never knew it was that big. All right. So
I got it.
You got it in front of you? Okay. So just real quickly, Colorado State, Buffalo, Davidson, NC State, Boise, SMU, Memphis, Dayton, St. Louis, Mississippi State, Richmond, Toledo, St. Mary's, West Kentucky, Ole Miss, and La Tech.
Okay.
Couple things to keep in mind, and we'll get into this when we talk about the games. The one seeds: Colorado State, Memphis, Ole Miss, St. Louis. If I'm looking at a team to take this down, I got to tell you, it's all about motivation. This tournament, it's kind of like bowl games, if you will. What team is just not interested in playing? I just don't believe this year. It's either going to be you really want to win this because you didn't have a shot last year, or you just want this dreadful season to end. You can't get off your back and you're done. You want to take a look at teams like, let's say like a St. Mary's, who for a long time, not necessarily St. Mary's, but just a team that they haven't really had any shot to win anything. They weren't going to win the West Coast Conference, none of that kind of stuff. So teams like that are kind of interesting. Like at Davidson, they're kind of interesting to me in this tournament. I think they should be motivated to play and ready to go. There are going to be teams that aren't ready to go, like a St. Louis. You got to wonder, where are their heads at? They were a bubble team. They had every reason to probably get into the tournament. They didn't get in. So you just want to see. But this year, you might just have every team that's just – they didn't have it last year. They're ready to go. They're past it. Most times kids down here within a day or two forget about it and move on. They're ready to play the next game. So I don't really care too much about that. As far as tonight's games, what do we have for numbers?
I'll tell you what's interesting tonight, Jeff. 7:05, 7:06, 7 o'clock tip here, which is actually on its face, should be a really good basketball game. Toledo and Richmond. Here's the issue. FanDuel opens up at -2, Jeff, in the favor for the Richmond Spiders. We're now seeing a -3, not for Richmond, but for Toledo in the spot, which leads me to believe, Jeff, we already know the prognosis on a couple injured players who we thought might play or might be able to make it back, and really what the motivation factor is. That is a massive line swing here from Richmond over to Toledo, Jeff.
Yeah, I watch every press conference Mooney puts out. They do a good job of always getting those up on their YouTube page. And, he didn't seem too positive about Francis or Grant Golden. Now, if you watch some of the final 8-10 games, Golden couldn't function. He had one hand basically. I would hope it's a little bit better. I think you may see him, but you need Francis. Francis is the linchpin. That's how they score. He's the guy that kind of drives them offensively. Gilliard's more of a defensive guy, kind of a maestro point guard. He doesn't really score. If Francis doesn't play, I don't think they can beat Toledo. It's just been a rough season for Richmond. They've had some brutal injury stuff at the wrong times. And they lost some games they frankly should have won. You just can't lose to a team like LaSalle in the middle of the season. True. And that's the difference. But you have the A-10 tournament where you lose Golden and Francis. That's tough. They don't have a lot of depth. As far as depth's concerned, they're one of the worst teams in America. They just don't have many guys. Toledo's good, man. They're well coached. They're a really good offense team. And one thing Toledo can kind of use as, they're not going to use because they're students, but will use. Toledo was very good against the spread all year. I mean, this is a team that covered. They just ran into a really hot Ohio team who couldn't stop scoring. Donnie, where I would go in this game, frankly, maybe a Toledo team total over. I think that could be a real play here. Richmond's interior 2-point defense is poor. They don't guard well. Francis is going to be out. Golden's going to be out. They don't have much depth. And Toledo comes at you. They play with a nice, solid pace. Both these teams are going to play with pace. Toledo can score really just a multitude of different ways. They should run a lot of really good offense tonight. Do you have that for me? What's the team?
I'm trying to bring it up right now in this because it brings in the second point we can talk about while I'm bringing this up, Jeff.
It's like
154 is the total. 153 now as we sit doing the show here on FanDuel. So we're anticipating a lot of points in this, but I'm trying to bring up the games tonight in the NIT to find that.
I think when I look at this game, team total could have some legs here. The total I worry about because I truly see this game, Donnie, like 81-68.
First half team total for them, Jeff, 37.5. And if we take a look at the full game, let me see what we got here. Let's see.
78.
78 even, correct. Yeah. That's
okay. I almost want to lay the 3 here. I just think Richmond is a different basketball team without Francis and Gold. And like I said, it's not like they have, really good guys coming off the bench. They just don't have many bodies, man. I think Richmond is just kind of, they seem to me, Donnie, like a team that has just had enough. Last year they don't get a tournament. Before the season, they lose one of their top players to a torn ACL. And then all this happens. It just seems like they're almost broken, maybe. They're just done.
It's interesting, too, Jeff, when you look at these end tournaments, keep in mind, this was a free year in the NCAA. So if you're Richmond now, it's not as if like Grant Golden, this was his last game he could ever play in college and will never play again, where he's going to give it a go. Same thing as anybody else on the team if they were injured. But do you just say, hey, look, you're going to come back next year. Let's not, nick up our off season here. Sit back, relax. Doesn't matter if we win this. We'll come back for one more run in the A-10 next year. So a lot of that stuff does play into it because these guys now have a choice. They can actually come back or they can leave. There's no rush on this game.
Yeah, exactly. I think, we'll see. That's questionable on whether they all will come back. I think, Golden's interesting, but he might benefit from another year. I don't know. I would probably lay it here with Toledo. I think Richmond is broken without those guys. But again, if you get some good info that those guys are back, that's obviously helpful. When you look at Richmond's offense, I mean, they're almost exclusively a 2-point offense. It's getting out and running a little bit. You're getting downhill and getting to the hoop and jump shots, that thing, moving through the post. Golden, Golden losing him so tough, Donnie, because he's a terrific passing big. Like he is really good at dribble handoffs and passing and finding open shooters. Not having him.
Krutwig style. He's like a Krutwig light out there. You run your offense through the guy to set up, get the wide open 3-point shots. All that stuff plays into it. So my question to you is, like, we saw like hand injuries, which would say what he has. I haven't seen him play with the hand injury, but the Louisiana Tech kid, he looked like he had a club on his hand. Obviously, if he was going to play, he wasn't scoring or just because he's going to run around and maybe try to hope to play some defense. Is his injury wrapped up? Is it one that like, oh, it's just a banged up finger a couple weeks ago, it's getting better? Or is this like, I have a club on my hand, I could play, but I won't be effective at all if I do?
I think he's definitely getting out of it. He actually was decently effective when he had it wasn't as bad as that guy at La Tech. He's not as effective. I do think he might play. I'd have to think. I think the hand injury, from what I remember looking up, it was a 2 or 3 week recovery, and that was about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I think it's, he's not completely lost, but he wasn't that effective either. So we'll see. I don't love it. I don't love back in Richmond. Francis is more important. He's kind of the diminutive, makes them go. So I would lean with Toledo here to get the job done.
Gotcha. Trying to get down in some of these action. You say, hey, look at this. We use the FanDuel odds here. Opened up, as we said, at -2. Now goes to -3 in the favor of the Toledo Rockets. Take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Here's why. Pick a team you think is going to win in March. Let's just take Michigan here, right? 6-1 odds. Lay it. Let's see if we can get after it. If it loses, you know what? They have $1,000 free bet that you can cash in on, because if you lose $1,000, Jeff, on your future, you know what happens with the FanDuel Sportsbook? You get it back. And even if you win it, how about this? $6,000 that you win, they still give you back the $1,000 free bet value on top of it as well. That's where the FanDuel Sportsbook is different from other sportsbooks. Their offer pays cash value, Jeff, on the free bet value if your bet gets to the window. Sign up using the link below in the description, using the promo code Pickswise to claim that now. So there's a chance to get down, make some money, have some fun. And you know what? If you took Michigan, they didn't cut the nets down, you get your money back there, and you can try to build back up with that original $1,000 wager on site, Jeff. Good stuff here.
That's how you can approach it. Make sure you check out FanDuel right now. You should be wagering all your tournament stuff with the best. FanDuel. Go check it out now if you're in a qualifying state like we are, luckily. We've been
secondarily, Jeff, tonight, 9 p.m., 7:07, 7:08 on the rotation. Western Kentucky, one of your favorite squads in the history of college basketball, going up against St. Mary's. Opened up at -2, Jeff. Not a lot of movement. Still sitting at -2 here with FanDuel. Total, hey, we have a 153 on the board to start the night, a 125 later in the night. If you guys have ever watched St. Mary's, and you're taking over in the game, you're just watching this going, just push the ball a little bit, guys. You don't have to walk it up every time. You have a fast break opportunity. Don't reset back up and run your offense. That is St. Mary's. That's what you have to watch out for. What are your thoughts tonight, Jeff? Western Kentucky and St. Mary's here.
Yeah, I think this is a really tough game to watch. It's just going to be ugly. I mean, you have – I think, though, when you look at these teams, though,
yeah,
we've talked before, and we talked on this show last week glowingly about sometimes just going with the better team. I think the only thing that maybe would give you a pause about wanting to take West Kentucky is the motivation, but they're a much better team. I mean, they have more athleticism.
Yeah.
Basie's a matchup nightmare. It's really just kind of understanding. But I think the good thing with West Kentucky is they saw a similar team. I mean, from a tempo standpoint, they see a lot of these teams in Conference USA, like Old Dominion and North Texas and all these teams. So I don't think that's going to be that big a deal. I think Basie's just such a nightmare as far as, not a lot of guys can really hold him down. I don't think St. Mary's has the personnel to do it. When you guard Basie, you need kind of an athletic big, like a Zach Simmons at North Texas. All due respect to St. Mary's, they don't really have those kind of guys. I mean, they're just kind of big ogre white guys. Like they're just, slow.
Australian? They have any Australians again, Jeff? We loaded up on the roster with the Australians for St. Mary's this year.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing Bennett obviously does well. They do have this kid. One kid that I do like though that they do have is Toss, this Estonian kid. He's pretty solid. But yeah, I think for him, Basie will kind of once they get past the initial. This is the NIT. I still think it's a good tournament to have. You have a really good team that has good ball handlers, and they have some pedigree down there. So I think for them, once you get past the initial, here we are, we're back, I think they've forgotten about what happened. It is what it is. I think they're the better team, but I think this is a sloggy game. As you said, St. Mary's is a team that are just going to take the air out of the ball. 345th down in the country in possession length. And they're taking 20 seconds before they shoot the ball. So it's a lot of times coming off the clock. West Kentucky obviously has no problem playing straight up defense, really slowing it down as well. So I think this is a half court battle. Neither team is great from the 3-point line, but West Kentucky's just a little bit better. They're a little bit better from the line. I think they have better personnel. I lean West Kentucky. I think they should probably be the favorite if you can get past the initial kind of motivation standpoint. I think they're the better team. I think West Kentucky win.
I'm not going to talk a lot about the NIT once the NCAA tournament, begins, unless we got a barn burner, a game that we absolutely need. Let's just hit some of these games quickly here, Jeff.
One thing NC State,
go ahead, sure.
Real quick, is sometimes these games will be on nights where there is no tournament. But as far as the rest of the card, keep in mind these aren't tonight. There are other nights. So
these are tonight. These two games are tonight.
These two are
Richmond.
The other games that Donnie is going to mention are not tonight. So
Thursday.
We're really just kind of quickly hitting them.
Yeah, Thursday night games, NC State, Davidson, SMU, Boise State. Again, motivation definitely is going to have to be a factor here. NC State, hitting to the NIT, okay for them. Same thing with SMU. Bob McKillop's squad, they're going to come prepared. They're not nearly as talented as what we're used to seeing in the past. But then again, it does open your eye a little bit saying, hey, wait a second, neutral court Davidson's a -1.5 favorite over an ACC team in NC State. And then we take a look at Boise State, a little bit injured here, slight favorite over SMU.
I actually do like Davidson. I think that's an interesting number. I mean, that's kind of the in-state little brother, big brother matchup.
Yeah.
Davidson is not going to worry about that press. They have great ball handlers. They're not going to turn it over. They're better defensively. I love Bob McKillop's offense, as always, the legendary guy there. I just don't think NC State's very good. Devin Daniels hasn't seen the court in a long time. I just don't think that's a particularly good matchup for NC State. SMU, I mean, you got to wonder about personnel there. I mean, they didn't have much. They were coming off a coronavirus pause. I don't know what their motivation as far as who's going to play in this game. One other one, La Tech, Mississippi. I mean, that is a first of 60 wins. That's a rough game. Neither team is very good offensively, and both really beat up. Ole Miss, one of the better under teams in America this season. La Tech. Donnie, have you seen La Tech play?
Yes, I have, with the big boy in the middle, number 2.
He is a big kid, man.
He's young, too. He's only going to get better.
He should play football for Skip Holtz. That kid would
there
be
you go.
monster.
Yep. D tackle, little Fletcher Cox style, man. Penetrating the gap. Absolutely.
That guy's a load, man.
He is.
Nuke Worker says likes. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. Let us know you enjoy the show. There's a good amount of people in here. Hit the like button. Make sure you say you like the show. I'm sure people didn't like my Final Four, so we may have more dislikes than we normally do. But
I don't know. You got a lot of Houston love in the chat box right now, Jeff, so I know you're supporting them on that, so
good.
You can get after it. And by the way, bring your coffee, bring everything you can on Friday morning because it is going to be jumping in here, and we're going to have some fun. So
I want to set the stage. Tomorrow's show, Don, is going to be very simple. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to come on. There are 4 playing games. We are going to break all 4 of them down, and that's that. Like, we're ready to go. We'll be back Friday morning with the first show where we will go over each Friday game against the spread. I'll talk about what I'm looking at, what I would play.
Picks, props, awesome. Yep.
Yeah. So make sure you check out Friday's show as well. There's a lot of basketball information still to come at you. But one thing I would advise, the last thing I'll say here on today's show, do not second guess yourself. When you have your bracket completed,
I picked it Monday, Jeff, and I'm not going back into it.
Maybe look at it once, just say, hey, are there any tweaks I want to make? But don't sit there for hours because at the end of the day, you're just wasting time.
Guaranteed, if you change your bracket, you will have a lower score than if you just left it. That is a guarantee.
Right. And again, Donnie said, chalk generally win.
Yes.
And even if a 5 does beat a 12, how far do you have that 12 going?
I got him in the Final Four, Jeff. No.
But Donnie, I will keep saying this. Don't be surprised if the Lopes are in the Sweet 16.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Lope up. Let's go, Lopes. All right.
They're going to bring Dan Marley out of the locker room for a speech.
Yeah, he's out there.
Going. Flexing.
Right, Thursday show, we'll back tomorrow, 9 a.m. We'll have some good previews of the first 4 games. You got a couple 16s facing each other, and then a couple 8-9s for the chances to move on. So we will break those down, wrap that up. Boom, Friday, we're here live, breaking it down again. All the games, all the Friday matchups. So have a good day. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I am the big man on campus. He is Donnie Rightside. As always, we are powered by Pickswise and presented by FanDuel. Make sure you check out Pickswise and FanDuel. Make sure you hit the like button and let us know you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you Thursday here on the NCAA Hoops Hour.